Welcome aboard, everybody, here to the Sports Talk Nation. And yes, I know it's a couple of days late, but it has been a crazy couple of days. But finally, we have our Week 4 recap. Really, it was a wild weekend of the National Football League, folks. And when you take a look at it, from the local perspective, again, the same trend continues. Good day for the Buffalo Bills, bad week, and a bad week for the Giants and the Jets. And really, as we're heading to Week 4, you're starting to see a little bit of separation around the league and start to get an idea of what the playoff picture may start to shape up like as we head towards the halfway point of the year, as we're now going into October, deep into October now. So let's just start quickly. Let's start it off here with the Jets because there is some news here on this Tuesday evening regarding quarterback Sam Darnold, as he has been diagnosed with a separated shoulder, and it doesn't look like he will play against the Arizona Cardinals this weekend when the Jets play them. The Jets, of course, 0-4. Coming off of their disastrous loss to the Denver Broncos last week, where they lost by a score of 37-28. And really, it's not so much that it's surprising at this point when you think about it that the Jets would lose a game because they're so bad. It's the fact that they lost the game the way they did to a winless Broncos team that was starting its third-string quarterback. And they made Brett Rippon look like Mark Rippon, for that matter, in this game. And he looked fantastic at times, even though he did throw 3 picks, and it could have been 4. Were it not for Pierre Desir letting a ball slip through his hands and into the hands of Jerry Jeudy, who scored a touchdown in the second quarter. But the big thing about this game, big takeaway from this disaster for the Jets, was the fact that how undisciplined they were. 7 personal foul penalties in the game, including 2 at the end of the game, where the Broncos, all they're trying to do is run the clock out. All they're trying to do is throw the ball up in the air and allow the clock to run out on a 4th down, and the Jets keep pounding Rippon, for that matter, smacking him into the turf and drawing 2 personal foul penalties for roughing a passer. You got to be kidding me. You got to be kidding me. Greg Williams, his unit was completely undisciplined. There were roughing the passer penalties throughout the course of the evening. As I mentioned, the team was undisciplined. The team did not play well, obviously, and were not for even the punter getting a tackle down the sideline. Broncos could have won by even a bigger margin, for that matter, than what they did on Thursday night last week. But, again, what we see here is a coach who's desperate in Adam Gase. The fact that he played a Mekhi Becton, even though he didn't start the game, injured, and there's questions about whether Becton's 100% right now going into the week. The fact that he allowed him to play in the game and got further injured. The fact that Sam Darnold got injured in this game, and as we now know, has what has been diagnosed right now as a separated shoulder. And while he just came back in the ball game and played the rest of the game, played as best as he could, at times, was the only offense for this football team. Ran for 84 yards. Nobody else came close for the Jets on that regard. This coach, I just don't know how the Jets can legitimately keep Adam Gase around at this point. I really don't. They're 0-4. They're going nowhere. This team doesn't play well. This team doesn't play disciplined football. This team doesn't play smart football. They don't do anything right in any regard. And you have a quarterback in Sam Darnold who, let me be honest with you. I really do feel bad for this guy right now because he's playing with absolutely nothing around him. I know there's injuries. all over the field, but he is playing with absolutely nothing. He has no receivers. He has no one to throw to. And as I mentioned, he has no one to turn around and hand the ball off to right now, unless you want to consider a 37-year-old Frank Gore illegitimate running back at this point, which I don't think anybody does. So where is he going right now with this? And here we are. Just yesterday, we see the Houston Texans pull the plug on Bill O'Brien after an 0-4 start. Here's the guy, O'Brien, who screwed things up big time by trading DeAndre Hopkins in the offseason to the Arizona Cardinals. And that, of course, has led to this downfall of Houston right now, as they have looked awful this year, and they decide, you know what, that's it, 4 games, goodbye. Why can't the Jets do that after a year and a half of Adam Gase with a record of 7-13? And how about this little nugget for you? Because we're going to get into the NFC East in a second. The Jets went 3-1 against the NFC East last year, right? The division that can't win anything this year, right? They are 4-12 against everybody else last year, this year combined. What does that tell you? chances are, as the Jets get ready for the Arizona Cardinals, and a Cardinal team that comes in here having lost 2 in a row, a Cardinal team that's going to come in here angry for that matter, I would imagine the Jets are going to be looking down the barrel of 0-5, and yes, maybe even 0-16. They look like they could definitely do that. They are that bad. And again, I mentioned this in the last week's video for the Week 3 recap. Why, if you were Trevor Lawrence, would you want to come out of college? He's still got another year left of eligibility, by the way, to play for the Jets. Why would you want to do that to yourself, King? So, why would you want to do that if the Jets have the #1 pick? Stay in school. Force a Eli Manning / John Elway kind of trade. Don't go to the Jets. Let's just go right ahead and go to a team that actually knows how to win. That's right. The Buffalo Bills, of course, standing at 4-0, as they are now one of 4 teams in the AFC that are undefeated. Of course, the other team that's 4-0 in the AFC being Kansas City. You also have Green Bay and Seattle also at 4-0 in the NFL. So here's Buffalo 4-0 after a big 30-23 win over the Oakland Raiders. And you know what? As I've said in previous videos, this is a Buffalo team that's very, very impressive. Very impressive. Once again, Josh Allen does a great job. Throws for 288 yards, a couple of scores. Even got injured in this game. Shoulder injury, but came back and still played good football for this Buffalo Bill team. And one thing that I've noticed about Buffalo is just that there's a lot of energy on this sideline. You can see it, both sides of the ball. Everyone's kind of pulling for each other right now. The team has a lot of good chemistry, and that's important for a team that's trying to do what Buffalo is doing and is very capable of doing. That's taking over this division and really running away with this division right now. They are 2 games up on the New England Patriots as we go into Week 5. But one big play that happened in this ball game, and this was after the Bills had gotten a touchdown to take a 23-16 lead. Oakland's moving the football into Buffalo territory, and a big play as Josh Norman forces a fumble on Waller. He loses the ball. Norman scratching, crawling through the ground to get to the football, recovers the fumble. Buffalo has it. The entire sideline explodes. They even pan up to the coach's booth, and you can see the offensive coordinator Brian Daboll and his staff going nuts as the Bills get the football back. And then next play, what happens? Well, Allen finds Stephon Diggs for a 49-yard completion, and that just gets the Bills moving as they eventually get the touchdown and take what would be a 30-16 lead. And you can turn out the lights. This party is over. Close down the casinos because in Vegas because the Bills are on their way. We're on their way to 4-0. This is a Bills team that's for real. This is a Bills team that is going to be a serious contender. They play good defense. They're very aggressive defensively. Their offense right now has been high-powered. You got to like the way Brian Daboll has been coaching up this offense, for that matter. Sean McDermott, the head coach, has had had a very good pulse of this team. Now, they're going to have a tough schedule. Really, the next 2 games, they go to Tennessee this week. And, of course, a lot of this depending upon what's going on with the Titans. Remember, 16 members of the Tennessee Titans being diagnosed positive for coronavirus, and that's the reason why their game got postponed to Week 7 against the Pittsburgh Steelers. So we'll see. Hopefully things are, progressing a little bit for the Titans, that they're able to play this game. I think they will be, but we'll see what happens. But that's going to be a tough game, and really the next 2 games for Buffalo at Tennessee, home to Kansas City, facing the 2 AFC Championship game participants from last season. It's going to be a very tough stretch there. 2 games. We're going to find out a lot more about this Buffalo Bills team. We know they're very good. We know they got a really high-powered offense right now. We know Josh Allen's playing at an MVP level. Now we're going to find out how really good, and whether this Buffalo team is ready to move on up in the AFC. Now, lastly, let's go to the New York Giants. And again, with regards to the Giants, there's just not much to say. There's really not much to say. This is a bad football team. They have, in my mind anyway, a bad quarterback in Daniel Jones. I'm not convinced with this guy. I'm not sold on him being the franchise guy for this New York Giants franchise. They lose again to the Rams this past weekend, losing 17-9, a game in which the defense played great. I mean, they held the Rams in check all day. They held Jared Goff to 200 yards passing. Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods really didn't get anything going until the end of the game anyway. So to me, this was a game that was ready for them. It was certainly for the taking for the Giants, and they just couldn't do it because this offense, whenever they got into Ram territory, just shut down. And the only thing they could get were 3 field goals. Other than that, it was mistakes, it was turnovers, it was just bad football by this Giant offense, which for the second straight week can't get into the end zone. And you can blame the play calling, Jason Garrett, the offensive coordinator. You can blame the quarterback, who has not looked good at all. And of course, Daniel Jones with a killer pick at the end of the ball game. Giants had a chance down 17-9 still to do something in this game, and they couldn't do it. Got all the way down to the 18-yard line before Jones just tries to force a pass down the sideline and gets picked off, and the ball game ended right there as the Rams to go away with the 17-9 win over the Giants, as the Giants again at 0-4. And now the Giants, now I was mentioning the bad NFC East a little earlier. Well, here's why the NFC East is so bad. The Philadelphia Eagles right now are in first place with 1 win. 1 win, 2 losses, and a tie. Dallas, Washington right behind them at 1-3 each. And then the Giants at 0-4. And I can tell you right now, folks, I really can tell you right now, the Giants are staring down a barrel of 0-5. I know the Cowboys played badly the other day against the Browns. They have been flirting with danger, and they could easily be 0-4 themselves right now. We're not for a ridiculous comeback win against the Falcons. But let's be honest, the Dallas Cowboys have much more firepower than the Giants do. The Giants can't move the football. They can't score. They don't have a good quarterback. They don't have a lot going on offensively. No Saquon, as we now know. That's going to be a nightmare. And the Giants looking at 0-5. And are they going to go 0-16 like the Jets? Probably not. But they're pretty damn bad right now. Maybe the Jets and the Giants should have their own stink bowl matchup by the end of the season, just to decide who ends up getting the number 1 pick in the draft, for that matter, way things are going. So, folks, sorry it's a little late, but here we are. That is our recap for today. Remember, like and subscribe right here to the Sports Talk Nation right here on YouTube. And remember to follow us at OpenMicNJ on Twitter, and also follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/OpenMicProgram. Talk to you next time.